Time for truest money moves. Let's hit the draft because a lot of youngsters just got a lot richer, including the youngest number one overall pick ever and the youngest pick in the draft yesterday, Eli Willits. Number one overall. Shocker. We're going to have hot sheet later from here. Baseball America hot sheet. I'll be hosting. JJ Cooper's here. We'll have some others joining us remotely, and we're going to go full scale through the entire draft. So if you want to nerd out on the draft, we'll do that, but we'll give you the big picture right now. I know at least for the top two, people were like, huh?
No, okay, so here's something that happened, and I again, hearsay because I was here last night and I went over to the draft.
Yeah.
Willits, the Nationals, we all know it's about pool. We all know it's about how much money you have. From what I was told, nobody was even talking about Willits being the first pick until about 24 hours before the draft. And then people here started hearing it because they usually get deals done before, and he probably took less money to be the number one pick. And I don't think that everyone expected Holliday to go one. And it actually fell to a perfect team for him and his family. Colorado, one they know well, but maybe he wasn't willing to take a little bit less. Because what I was hearing is he was going to take maybe a little less to be the one like his brother was 1-1, but Willits apparently maybe whatever.
Probably took even less.
Congratulations to Willits, awesome. Eli Willits.
Here's my thing, though. If you're going to make a pick based on money over your board, which the Nationals claim he was number one anyway.
Okay. They have to say that. I don't think Travis Bazzana last year was number one over some of the guys that went behind him.
I do not.
Okay. Then.
So this is my thing with the number one overall pick is that you don't get it often, especially nowadays with the lottery. You better nail it. So if you're saving money to get someone later on, that's fine. That works sometimes. But if it doesn't, catastrophe in my mind. If we look back and we say, how did they miss on Ethan Holliday or Seth Hernandez? And we go, oh, well, they saved money for Joe Schmo in round 2, and he never made it. Travesty.
They're trying to spread their money out, trying to get the most they can out of it. And this is not taking anything away from Eli Willits. Eli graduated high school early to be able to go into the draft when some people, even in his own family, were like, I wouldn't. He moved up to like top 10 pick. He was on the top 10 board pre-draft. And you know what? He took advantage of it. But as an organization, do you want to go all in on one guy? Or do you say that's too much of a crapshoot? We're just going to – because they're going to all spend their pool money.
Yeah, it's not being cheap just for –
no.
Cheapness all the time. But for this money moves conversation, you spend the money that you're given for the draft.
I think the Nats had like 15 or 16 million. The highest was the Orioles, shocker. They just build up pool money for the draft. But
yeah, of course.
So they're spreading that 15 million out. Can they go and get Joe Schmo, like you said, in the third round, who says, no, I'm not signing for anything less than $1 million? Well, that's more than you're going to get in the third round. So they go and get it. It's a move. But honestly, now too, nobody's around to take credit for it. Mike Rizzo's not there.
Yeah.
Well, no.
I mean, they have other guys there. Everyone else is still intact. I know what you're saying. I mean, but Rizzo did.
Well, this is Rizzo's fault. Like, if it doesn't work out, they can be like, it's Rizzo's fault.
Yeah, but Rizzo didn't make this pick. The new GM made this pick.
Right.
So they'll be like, well, he told us to make the pick.
No.
Because they negotiate with the guys pretty late, pretty close to
that's
draft
why it
time.
changed the day before. They were like, whoa, we can get him for, save 400, 500,000, and we can use it. Because you have to understand how the draft works now. Every kid is called before the draft and said, hey, what's your number? Right? They call you and say, what's your number? And whatever number, some kids price themselves out of getting drafted at all because, but when you talk about the pool money, it's about the top 10 rounds. And after you get past the 10th round, you can offer kids whatever. You can take a 20th rounder and offer them $2 million if you have it left over. So it's all about that, right? So that's why you'll see some kids that were, it's not about what round you're drafted in. It's about how much money you'll accept because it doesn't matter. You can be a first because teams will take college seniors, the 7th, 8th, 9th round, sign them for $50,000 and be like, we're going to draft you and you have to sign for $50,000 and you have nowhere else to go. And they have to sign. And then they save the slot money and they can use it after the 10th round or in the 10th round to get kids that they're willing to overpay for.
I want to know what seniors are getting now. As I signed, senior signed
it's like $50,000.
$1,000.
No, I think it's 50. I think they have.
I think it's like
50.
10.
No, I think it's. I
It
think
was
it's
1,000.
50.
I signed for $1,000, and that was like the standard senior sign.
I got to text JJ. We'll ask.
Yeah,
It depends also what we're talking about. A senior that's in the 5th round versus a senior in
No,
the 12th.
doesn't matter. They'll do it. I'm telling you.
No, I know. I'm saying the low number though.
yeah.
I think is still in like the 10.
Because
5
what's
to
to
10
stop
range.
it? Because then you'd have all these teams drafting a guy or two in the seniors and saying $1,000. Like you got to get a little bit of a nick to their money.
Yeah.
It can't be 1,000 because it would be too low.
Right. Well,
Because
and again, we're getting into
then you'd like the Brewers and the Orioles had the most picks, right? Well, then they'd spend all their money on their first 5 rounds or first 5 picks, and then their 6 through 9, they'd be like, oh, we only have to spend $1,000 on these, right? No, I think it's 50 because they have to have a little nick where it nicks their pool.
I think
say
it's a slot range.
But either way, to me, the best story, Ethan Holliday's going to the Rockies.
That's cool.
I think it's cool. It's 1B best story. 2 kids from the same high school get picked in the first 10 picks.
3 kids in the first round.
In the first round.
Part of that story is they
10
didn't win their state championship.
That is.
They got more coming. They got more coming
baseball's-
too. They got more
California
picks next year
baseball's
that are
better than
first
Florida.
rounders.
Yeah, and when those 3 make the big league
On the
one day,
rankings.
we know what question AJ is going to ask them when they're on foul territory.
Why wouldn't you play First Academy?
And how did you guys not win
And
with 3 of you?
And not only that, how did you guys all get to the same high school?
Yeah, that's a little. That's
What part were you driving?
Mm-mm.
nah.
Well,
Question.
the Evil kids are 2 of them, and the kid next year is supposed to be better than his brother was
Yeah,
the first
Danny
round.
Eagles.
Dino Ebel's the third base coach for the Dodgers, his 2 kids. Then they had Seth Hernandez. They had the kid that went to
Some of them coming in as a senior.
They went to the kid who went to Billy Carlson, who went to the White Sox. And those are 3 first rounders. The next year, Ebel's brother, and then they have a center fielder that's supposed to be a high pick next year, too. There's 5. You got 5 first round picks on a high school team. You don't win your. Well, they don't do a state championship. They do like a Southern. They didn't win
But
that.
even still, that's even worse.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Didn't line up our pitching correctly for that one.
Yeah. You have Seth Hernandez.
That's crazy. But anyway, it was a wild start to the draft for a lot of people. Just even though there is more to the story with how the money gets allocated, for people to understand it was still wild because Tyler Bremner wasn't necessarily on many boards to go number 2 to the Angels. And guess what? He's actually starting on Friday for the Angels.
Yeah, probably.
They said, hey, bud, Friday, you around? Yeah. Okay. We need you to go 6 on Friday. I'm kidding, but
if you get a call, you get a call from a team and it's the Angels, you're willing to take less because of the history. If you're a college kid, you're like, yeah, 100%. I would love to. I think Gage.
The organization matters.
I think Gage Wood going to the Phillies. Lot of guys will say his stuff can play in the big leagues right now. Are the Phillies willing to do it or not? I don't know. You know, that's a reach because they have other guys. But if you're called as a second pick and you're like, no, I wanted $6 million, and they're like, well, the Angels want you. Will you take 5.5? Ooh, the Angels. Neto, Christian Moore, Shannawell, Ben Joyce, all dudes that got called up within the first year. Nobody wants to go to the bushes. Nobody wants to go to the minor leagues.
if I was playing right now, that would be the number 1 team by far. Because also, it's not like a mess of a I mean, they haven't made the playoffs in a long time, but like they'll spend on the roster. There's some good names there, right? You get to play with Trout, and you get called up to the show if you're ready to go. That's the most enticing place by far. I agree.
Easily.
Wouldn't you feel that way? So if right now you're in high school, or let's say college, because they call it college.
Organization matters. Organization matters.
You're a college player in the SEC. You're like an elite bat that could hit in the big leagues in a heartbeat. What's the number 1 team you're hoping picks you?
No, the Angels, especially if you're a college guy.
Yeah.
You could be there that year. They were going to call Christian Moore up that year.
They were.
But he got hurt.
Because college now
No, don't say it.
is using some of the development.
True.
And organizations are like, oh, well, these guys know how to read their track man. They know how to read what's going on. They're doing shifts. They have a pitch comm, not the same as a big league pitch comm, but they're using things that guys are like, hey, you know what? Or organizations are like, this is easy. We don't have to develop. We're not good at developing them. We'll pick them, throw them up there.
College is the new minor leagues. In some cases, they cutting minor league teams down. And then if you go to the right school, your facilities are worlds better than the minor league team that you're playing on.
Yes, but they're not teaching them They're teaching them to win. They're not developing the player like you develop in the minor leagues. Minor leagues doesn't do a good job of developing players to win. Most organizations. Some organizations keep prospects together and go, yes, you're going to stay together. You're going to learn to win, because there's a thing about winning. Like, you got to learn to win, but because in college they're like, well, we could develop you, or we could just do whatever it takes to win. That's different. That's why dudes are throwing 140 pitches in games.
True. I think there's a balance with some of the schools. That's how they recruit guys and say, hey, we're going to take care of you. And we have a pitching lab that 20 other big league teams don't even have. So come here, right?
But there's certain schools.
Like
there's certain schools that are pitching schools. There's certain schools that are hitting schools.
No doubt.
They have reputations. But for me, the organization is the thing, because organizations will rush you if you get drafted. There's certain organizations that hold guys down a little bit longer, and there's certain organizations that throw you right into the fire and say, "Go get them." And some new organizations are better at developing pitching. Some are better at developing hitters.
My only thing with Ethan Holliday is it's really cool and sentimental, but the Rockies are a mess right now, and they are one of the few teams that I think are worlds behind on information.
Yeah, but he has his dad. He has his dad, and if he hits, they'll bring him up.
He'll do his own thing, right?
Yes.
And they know that.
Yes.
So it's different.